Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. So today we're going to be reviewing Blue Run Spirits. Now, guys, this is the brand new spring release, their 13 and a half year single barrel bourbon. Now, this one comes in at 124 proof, and this is actually barrel number 10. Really excited to get into this one. This actually won double gold in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition for best single barrel bourbon. Very excited to see what this one is about, guys. So without further ado, let's go. All right, guys, welcome back. So let's go ahead and get into the color on this one. I happened to notice when I poured this one, there's definitely some darkness to this one, and the legs are they're so oily. Actually, just a hint of like a mahogany almost to it. Just a very little bit. Really like deep reddish copper color. And the legs just beautiful and oily. Let's get into the nose. Oh boy. There's a lot of really rich caramel going on this one. Like a thick vanilla, like a vanilla custard. Tons of caramel and vanilla on this one. Just rich, really rich and thick. A little bit of burnt sugars a little bit further away from the glass. Almost picking up a little bit of those sugared pecans. So a slight bit of nuttiness, but it's like those sugared pecans that are really good. Man, that is a bold, rich, just creamy. You know, if you can describe creamy onto the nose, I mean, that's what you're getting. It's just like really thick and just very bold flavors there on the nose. Get a little bit of dark fruits in there, maybe a little bit of like some raisin. Let's get into the palate, guys. Cheers. Oh my. Boy, is that oily. Oh my God. Very viscous. You know, surprisingly, this comes in at 124 proof, and it doesn't drink that way. Very oily. Some rye spices starting to tickle the center of the palate there. There's a lot going on this one. This is very different from the 13-year expression that I tried not that long ago. This is way more oily. It's very rich and viscous. The flavors are, again, they're very you know, saturating there on the palate. I know I say that sometimes, but they just kind of soak in and set in there. Really nice. Again, just some really nice, like a vanilla, like again that vanilla custard I was kind of getting on the nose, just sitting there on the front of the palate. Some rye spices that kind of are tingling into the center of the palate. Going back down, there's this oakiness mixed with a little bit of like smoke almost. Very faint, but it's definitely there. Could have something to do with how long it was in the barrel, but there is definitely a smoky character to it, a little bit further back into the finish, along with that oak. It's not a sweet oak. It's definitely you pick up some of those oak tannins. Being 13.5 years, that's expected. But to have that smokiness there along with it is very very unique, very very different. Get a second sip. There's those dark fruits. Yep. Man, they got that vanilla custard on the front of the palate. Rye spices still tend to sit like right across the center, maybe into a little bit of the tip of the tongue. But now I'm just starting to pick up a lot of dark fruits, some raisins, some plum. There's a rich like honey that is going like right before, on the back of the palate, right before the finish. Getting some nutmeg there, a little bit further back. Some almond. This one is really, this is very very complex, in my opinion. Very very complex. It's viscous. It's oily. The flavors are very distinguished. And they just continue to develop on the palate. Like, again, some of those raisins, some fig, definitely a lot of those darker fruits there, onto the center of the palate. A little bit of pepper into the back of the palate, some cinnamon, those rye spices still hanging out right there on the center of the palate. A nice sweet vanilla on the front there. This is really good. This is very very good, and it's the flavors obviously weren't consistent. I didn't get a lot of those dark fruits on the first sip. They started to develop onto the second sip. Rye spices and the vanilla custard were there first sip and second sip. Let's go ahead and get into the last sip, guys. See what we get. That is delicious. That smoky oak finish on the back is so different and unique. It's so good. Because what's happening now is you're getting some sweetness from non-fruit flavors on the front of the palate, mixed with those dark fruits and some rye spices on the middle of the palate. Into the back is picking up baking spices. You're picking up some oak, some of those oak tannins, and then there's a hint of smokiness on the back of the palate into the finish that plays along with that nutmeg. There's some cinnamon, some of those oak tannins, and a lot of that, a lot of those baking spices could be playing off of that oak. But that slight bit of smokiness on the finish is just something that's very, very different. I never really get that on a bourbon. This is a fantastic single barrel here from Blue Run. Again, this one's, this is the new release. It's the 13.5 year, 124 proof. Does not drink like 124 proof at all. I would say maybe 110, if that. So those spices that you're getting on the palate are not from the proof. It's definitely the rye spice that is that's playing and mingling in there with those dark fruits there on the center of the palate. This is a delicious single barrel. Again, they're all going to be a little bit different. This is single barrel number 10. Fantastic single barrel bourbon right here. Well deserved to have that double gold in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Again, just the sweetness from the non-fruit flavors, but then you're getting the sweetness and the fruitiness from those dark fruits again across the center of the palate. You're picking up a lot of those rye spices. Into the back, there's some almond, there's some cinnamon, there's some nutmeg, there's those oak tannins, and then there's that unique smokiness right on the end of the palate that just really kind of tips the scale here for this one. This is a fantastic single barrel here from Blue Run Spirits. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to send a big thank you to the folks over at Blue Run Spirits and Mike Montgomery for supplying me with the sample to review on the channel. Guys, this is an absolute hitter of a single barrel. It is well deserved of that gold medal at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition for best single barrel bourbon. This thing really just hit it out of the park. I had to pour myself just a little bit more before I sign off here, but very, very well done. Again, this really covered everything that I'm looking for in a bourbon, especially being a single barrel. It's very sweet, it's fruity, it's spicy. It drinks a lot lower than what it is. It drank like 110 proof, and this is 124 proof bourbon right here. Very, very complex. The flavors are just all over the palate. They just really, I'd really have to sit down and take some time. I can guarantee you there's more flavors that you can pull out from this guy here. Very, very well done by Blue Run Spirits, guys. And look, hey, if you're looking for more reviews like this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You can also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And until next time, guys, stay dusty. Cheers.